the former mayor of Providence, and he made a big purchase downtown. Good evening. Welcome to My State of Mind. I am Dan Yorke. Joe Paolino is my guest tonight. We'll talk about the $60 million asset that he's just acquired, the old Fleet Building down City Providence next to the Superman Building, which is still a huge problem. And we'll talk some mayoral politics as well over the course of the evening. So let us get to the rundown real quick because we've got a lot to get to. This has been today's news cycle controversy. Once again, the governor has kicked into the undocumented driving concept. This is another one of those ho-hummers from a gubernatorial candidate, and it's underwhelming, but we'll talk about it. This is just bad, period. And this one, he got me. He absolutely got me. I fell for it. All right, let's dig into the rundown here. The concept is undocumented driving, and the headline says in the Providence Journal, driving privileges eyed for the undocumented. Now, this is enough to cause the radio lines to explode anytime you bring this up, and they did today, noon to 3 on WPRO on that Dan Yorke show. But you know what? There is so much conflict between federal and state law when it comes to issues of immigration and illegal or undocumented status that you got to kind of follow the bouncing ball here. You know, Link Chafee has some cleanup to do from his 2010 promises, and while he's got no big idea for economics, and even if he did, he couldn't get it through as a lame duck, he's still having a bill like this sponsored by Anastasia Williams and others. Here's what he says about the people who are upset about it.
For those critics about our immigration policy, it shouldn't be directed at surgical attempts such as this to get revenue and to have safety courses. It should be directed any kind of frustration at the federal immigration law.
Now, look, other states have undocumented special driver's licenses or illegal alien special driver's licenses. You think about why. A fairness issue? Well, I'm not so hyped up on the fairness issue. The safety issue, making sure that everyone's accountable and insured. Well, we still don't have an insurance guarantee because a lot of people buy insurance and then they don't keep their plans up, cancel them. So that's got to come too, along with this whole concept of, you know, making the road safe by making drivers pay or, you know, pass tests. The other thing that you have to consider here when you're trying to figure this out for yourself is the different ideas that the federal and state governments have on immigration. For instance, I did a little homework on this. In order to be, the bill proposes, in order for an illegal alien undocumented citizen to get the driver's licenses, they got to have a whole bunch of paperwork. But at the bottom of it, they have to have an ITIN number, which is the individual tax identification number. And just about anybody can get an ITIN number. So what it does is listen, you cannot work in this country if you're an illegal alien, but you can get an ITIN number just in case you do work, so that you pay the taxes on the work that you're not supposed to have. And a guy by the name of Jose called the radio show today. For 14 years, he's been operating that way.
To be here illegally, it's bad, but to pay tax, we are good. So no matter your status, if you go and fill up a papers to get the IT number, all they want is my taxes, so they don't care if I'm here legally or not. They want my taxes.
So we need overall immigration reform, and I have a hard time arguing against drivers, undocumented citizens getting driver's licenses. At the same time, I have a hard time arguing for it. We got to fix some other stuff first. All right, in the meantime, let us move over to the gubernatorial race, and Angel Tavares today announced he's got a new pay equity type of concept going on here. He's going to protect the women. There's the headline. He also talked to our radio news team, a lot of radio audio today from WPRO as he talks about his plan.
This is a real problem, and this is something that we should focus on and address as a state. And that's why I'm proposing that as governor, I will strengthen penalties for businesses that violate Rhode Island's pay equity laws, and this is important because our wage discrimination statute is over 50 years old and lacks specific penalties for wage equity violators.
Yeah, I get it. You know, listen, who's going to argue against pay equity for women? But these are not big hitters. I guess he's just trying to take care of one constituency after the next as he loads up a progressive gubernatorial campaign. But he promises that half the boards and commissions that he would oversee would be filled with women. just for the sake of filling them half with women. Isn't that insulting to women? Don't you have to be qualified first? Next item. This is just horrifying. One of my favorite actors died over the weekend. You know it by now, Philip Seymour Hoffman. And I didn't realize the heroin was making such an incredible comeback in the United States, as they say. This guy was funny. He was compelling. He was as talented as any actor I think we've ever seen in modern movie making. And at 46 years of age, he's gone. He came public a couple of weeks ago about his battle with heroin. What I didn't realize is that heroin is available so cheaply on the street right now, and I guess there's a bunch of bad dealing going on. And heroin, by its nature, is bad. But never mind laced heroin, which is maybe what happened here. God rest his soul. But pay attention. Pay attention. If somebody you know all of a sudden is starting to act a little weird because they've got some endorphin rush from heroin, you need to get on that, because it's not just, it's not just the normal danger these days. It seems like it's even more dangerous. And finally, $1 million to one shot. Here's the headline real quick. Mark Cuban plays Super Bowl prank on Twitter. So the conversation in the office the other day was, actually yesterday, was how about that Mark Cuban? He's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. See this play? This is the first play of the Super Bowl. Remember? Oh, there it goes in the end zone. Safety. Well, Cuban tweets out, check out this tweet. He tweets out, I had safety in the first play in Vegas, $1 million to one. Like he put $20 down on it. So the word got out that he made $20 million in Vegas. Turns out he was just pulling our legs. He had me going. I had 3 or 4 conversations with people about how he didn't need the money. It just goes to show you, you cannot believe everything you see on social media. When we come back, the former mayor of Providence, who just made a big acquisition. We'll talk about that and some politics. Stay with us. Welcome back in. We have kind of an important conversation here, I think, with Joe Paolino, the former mayor who's made a big purchase. Here was the headline just last week, a towering purchase for Paolino. And here's a small excerpt from Sean Daly's piece on it last week.
Instead of some company in New York that has building managers from somewhere running a building for them, the actual owner is going to have their office here and be here on the ground.
This building not only no longer will have an absentee landlord, it will still pay taxes too.
Too often we go to these purchases and they're coming off the tax rolls, and the nonprofits are buying these buildings. But that's not happening today.
Is this the start of something?
This is the largest acquisition we've ever made. And I'm looking to carefully and conservatively look at some other opportunities that may come down the road.
You know, that intrigued me, that last commentary. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big investment.
Yeah, it's kind of scary too.
Yeah. Before we start with that, you're working out every day.
Every morning, 5:30, Boston Health Club.
You go to the tanning machine too? Why do you always look so perfectly olive? And now you've got the whole weight loss thing going on?
Yeah.
It's like the new you.
No, I've been doing this.
You'd think you'd be running for office or
yeah,
something.
right. I'm not going to run around the block. But I do the elliptical. That I
do?
Yeah,
That's
every
good.
morning for an hour.
Not so bad on your knees, the elliptical. Oh.
That's exactly why I do it that way.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. $60 million for that building. Tell me about how you got there. How'd you get there from here?
We started negotiations back in December 2012. We had an agreement. We were going to purchase it back in June. Then certain things happened within the negotiations, and I had to walk from the deal. It was revisited back in, I think it was November, and we put together the agreement in December, and we moved forward fast.
This is the old Fleet building, in case you didn't pick that up, what people referred to it. Of course, you know, in Rhode Island, the old way to do business. We always refer to places and buildings and locations 2 generations ago.
You have the Red Bridge, right? We're still talking about the Red Bridge today.
You can't talk about anything in its current terms. So are you renaming the building?
Right now, no.
No.
No, 100 Westminster Street's the address.
What sits in it right now? Office space at all?
Great office space. You got some great companies there. You got KPMG, you have Nortec, you have Hinckley Allen Law Firm, you have Providence Equity,
Substantial companies.
Yeah, big companies, good companies.
So, where was $60 million in the hierarchy of value for that building over the course of time? In other words, what it used to be worth, is that a premium price? How does it fit into your pro forma? Why do you make an investment like that? You know, does it return right away? Da 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 da.
Well, I need to rent the vacant space that's in there. I want my offices to be in the building. Remember, I bought 3 pieces of property, and there's another building next door that's an older building. It looks like it would be a building in Mayfair in London, and I want to convert that into a boutique hotel. Great rooms, great electronics, and I think that could be a tremendous asset to the main building itself and vice versa. A lot of those tenants will be able to send their clients and visitors to stay at the hotel. Then there's that parking lot that they knocked down all these beautiful historic buildings years ago because they wanted to build a W hotel. And that never happened. They wanted to do a hotel and they wanted to do condos. And they kept part of the facade up there. Well, I want to try to preserve that facade. What I'd like to do is build a garage there because I need parking for the building. Every time I talk to tenants, they say we need parking. So I want to be able to say, yes, we have it for you right across the street. And then I want to try to incorporate the facade into the garage. And if I could ever get a supermarket to be in the first floor over there, I'd like to do that. And with the main lobby itself, I talked about I want to do an art gallery, but not an art gallery where people can go buy art, but really an art showplace where people can have sculpture and paintings and bring some art life into the city. I've spent a lot of time in other cities, if I'm in New York or if I'm in Miami, Washington, D.C., wherever. And public art is really important, and a lot of developers have started to commit part of their assets towards art. And Providence is an art city without art. So it's time to do it.
So tell me, what's the occupancy rate right now?
It's approximately 90% right now.
All right, so
in that ballpark.
So I guess what's interesting to me, and I think others, is that the price tag of $60 million is
give or take. We'll still have adjustments to make. That, quite frankly, when you close a deal like this, it takes another 120 days to do some closing. Because if somebody paid their rent that was in the previous owner portfolio, let's say they didn't pay January's rent. And I don't get it back for another month or two, then I have to give that rent back to them. So it's all part of the adjustments.
All that stuff. But by and large, the principal motivation is profit or something else?
Number one, I want the investment to pay off. So to make money, to be able to let that
Is it a
investment,
long-term investment?
It's long-term.
Is it a loss leader investment that you're making right now?
I don't see our family ever selling this.
Okay.
Because I want this to be our headquarters. I want this to be our home. I want this to be part of the symbol of our company. At the same time, not one of these big buildings in downtown is owned by anybody local. And I believe in local ownership. I believe in local commitment.
So I think that's really what I'm asking. Is this a spiritual move, a pride in the city move?
That's a lot of that's part of it. Sure.
So
if I didn't love
may not
Providence,
be a cash-performing asset right away, is what you're telling me.
Well, I hope it will be, but it's possible that it won't.
All right.
But I love the city so much. I mean, I said I love investing in Providence, but I'm really proud that I happen to live there too. And that's our company. We're Providence-based, Providence-owned, Providence local.
How many different parcels do you have in the city right now? Plenty.
I'd say maybe up to 20 between parking lots and office buildings, but the office buildings are much smaller.
Devil's advocate question. How much is too much for one proprietor to own in a city the size of Providence?
You know, some people will argue that's right because one person can try to make more of a difference, which I think I'll do in this building. Example, I'm going to light this building up. This building is going to be part of the skyline of Providence. I'm going to let you, when people drive by at nighttime, when they saw the Superman building lit up, they're going to see this building lighted up, and they're going to see it from the highways.
Speaking of the Superman building, when you said, and who knows what's next, I'm paraphrasing.
That's not next.
Is that next?
No.
No. When we come back, we got to talk about the Superman building, and because that sits as a difficult challenge, I think, for everybody. We'll be right back with Joe Paleo. Stay with us. The former mayor of Providence, Joe Paolino, is now going to be kind of the informal mayor of Providence with this. Oh, come on, now the $60 million purchase, and look, the local ownership I think is a good thing, and then folks shouldn't resent a substantial investment in a city, no matter who it is that's making it. But what is interesting, and the fact that you pointed out when you made this acquisition and got the attention for it, is what you just said in the last segment, that this is the only locally owned skyscraper, if you will, in the city's skyscape. And I think that took me by surprise. I went, whoa, wow, geez. That's never good, not to have on-the-ground local ownership in such an important economic environment like
I think so. I think this is the best building in the city. I always felt it. I voted on it when I was a member of the city council. I think I was like 24. Cianci was mayor. We're going for a UDAG, Urban Development Action Grant, to try to make that building a reality. We had to make an important vote in the city council. That resolution then went to Washington, and HUD later on gave a UDAG grant for it. I forget how many millions. I think it was maybe 7 million. I'm not sure exactly.
UDAG is urban development, folks, in case you're scoring at home.
And then the building opened up the first year I became mayor in 1984. So I've always loved the building. I think it's the prettiest building too.
All right, so the Fleet building stands right next to the Superman building. Wow. What the hell are they going to do with this thing?
That building is a big problem for the next mayor of Providence. Big problem. And for the next governor. Because what do you do with it? The guy that owns it, he made a bad bet. He overpaid for the building. Now it's empty. No income coming in. It's just costing him maybe anywhere between $3 to $5 million a year to carry it between taxes, heat, water, sewer, electricity. It's just costing him money. And then in order to keep that basis, can't see anybody bailing him out of that. Then it's going to take a lot of money to fix it up. If you figure $200 a foot to rehab it, you're talking $70 million.
What's your projection on the use? Residential, apartments, lofts. Mike Solomon, who just announced for mayor, said that's his vision. Others have talked about it being part of the Meds and Eds concept that's floating around here. What? Callers to the radio said make it a casino, for crying out loud.
Yeah. All the above should be in play. I think it's if it's going to be an institutional building for Brown or Rhode Island School Design or Johnson & Wales or a collaborative of all three, I think those institutions could step up and maybe put housing there, or they could put administrative offices there and be able to help that building out that way. Working with Rhode Island Housing and Mortgage and have them do some financing for an 80-20 program, 80% for market rate apartments, 20% low and moderate income. They do this in other parts of the state. They do it within Providence. Why can't they dedicate some funds to do it here in the Superman building? And Eds and Meds would be great, but you'll never see that building, an office building again, not to spec it out. You won't see anybody like me or any other investor in Providence buy it and buy it on a speculative basis, fix it up and think that if you build it, they will come, because they'll never come.
Well, as Joe said, it's going to be a challenge for the next mayor. Laura, if you can, put up that graphic of pictures. We've got pictures out the wazoo. Here are the announced candidates for mayor. On the bottom are three guys that have already visited the studio: Jorge Elorza, Mike Solomon, and Brett Smiley. The fourth Democratic candidate to announce is the guy on the top right there, Lauren Adrian. Mr. Harrop is the Republican. Of course, Chris Young is the perennial. And I said yesterday on the show, and I keep saying, just keep adding candidates into that Democratic primary, and when Buddy Cianci decides he's going to jump in, he'll own the thing. You have been a vigilant supporter of the concept of Buddy Cianci running for mayor. I have it on very firm, multiple sources who've talked directly to the mayor that he has not only hedged an idea about running, that he has told them he is running. He's played a little cute with the media. And of course, he got ill the last couple of weeks with a good prognosis on his
Very
cancer.
good prognosis.
So, Mr. Former Mayor, who's now chummy with the other former mayor, you've had a storied history with this guy.
Yeah, up and down.
Peaks
and valleys.
What is your take on this? He's running, correct?
No, I'm not going to say that. I think right now
Well, he's telling people in town that.
Well, I think he's telling people that he would like to run, and maybe he's being optimistic about it, but I don't think that final decision has been made, because he hasn't told that to me, and I think I would know. The thing that and he has to worry about mostly, is his health. He's got to get through what he's going through. But if he's in that race, and if he's healthy, and if he decides that he's going to run, I think he'll be the next mayor of Providence.
Well, this is what he said to Eyewitness News. We have a short clip about the potential for running.
Would I eliminate running for mayor? Absolutely not. Would I say I'm going to run for mayor? Absolutely not. We'll have to take that every day at a time. If I had a reason to run, I would run.
Hey, listen, all due respect to Buddy, I don't even know what the hell that means. He's got all sorts of reasons to want to run. His tone on his own radio program, which follows mine on WPRO, has been all about leadership over the last couple of months. I've known the guy a little bit. You know him better, but he's warming up.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
He's
I mean,
warming up.
he and I have, every day when we talk, we do talk about if he's going to run or not, or if he does run, what would he do? Because he said to me, he said, you know, I don't want to run because I can say, gee, I saved Trinity or I saved P-PAC, and I don't want to run because I was involved in the Providence Place Mall or the Rivers or the skating rink. He says, I got to run because I have a vision, because I want to do something for the city. We've been talking about that and what that vision would be. I think, well, let's ask yourself and your listeners, the Superman building. Does anybody doubt that he would let that building stand vacant for 4 years?
No, I
if he
don't think
becomes
so.
mayor? He'll get it done.
But nobody can afford to do that.
He'll get it done.
All right. Well, congratulations on your purchase
Yeah, thanks.
and your elliptical workout, and looking good.
All
And,
right.
And we'll see how it will be an interesting political year, will it not?
Oh, I'm glad I'm on the sidelines watching.
Good to see you, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your
Dan.
state of mind when we come back. Stay with us. Reaction to Joe Paolino or anything on your mind, 228-1886. Leave us a voicemail. State of mind at myritv.com is the email. Tweet and Facebook post. Here's a voicemail.
City of Central Falls bankruptcy, $3 million in debt, and they spent $3 million. How is the city of Detroit $6 to $10 billion bankruptcy as cheap as $300,000 to square it all away? Just goes to show you how corrupt Rhode Island is.
I think Jay feels better. I got to go. We'll see you tomorrow night on My State of Mind. Good night.